Good day, Philippines! Hello, Region 1! Aloha, San Carlinian learners! Airing live from the mango bamboo capital of the Philippines, San Carlos City. You're tuning in to CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner, where passion is the key. Learning paves the way. With our division mantra, developing creativity, maximizing versatility. This is your CCN Broadcast Center. CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner.
Good morning to all our viewers, especially to all the grade 7 learners who are watching now here in Carlos and Carlene Network. This is Teacher Rox, your teacher broadcaster for today. But before anything else, I just want to say that I am very glad for we are still here to continue to advance our education, because it is important for the learners to pursue their dreams. And in order for our learners to pursue their dreams, let's have our lesson for today. So everyone, welcome to TVE Exploratory class. Okay, so let's start this session by recapitulating our previous lesson. Okay, if you really listened to our previous lesson, then you will be able to answer this one. It is the process where a food product becomes unsuitable to ingest by the consumer. Again, a process where a food product becomes unsuitable to ingest by the consumer. Your answer is? Okay, that's very good. Food is spoilage. What about the next one? Perishable and non-perishable. Will you please differentiate between the two? Okay, very good. When we say perishable, these are the food that spoil the most quickly and require refrigeration. Examples we have the meat, seafood, dairy products, and fruits and vegetables. And on the other hand, the non-perishable are those foods that will take a very long time to spoil and don't require refrigeration. Examples are the dried and canned goods, peanut butter, and grains. Okay, last question. What are the factors affecting the growth of microorganisms in food? Can you still remember those factors that affect the growth of microorganisms in food? Oh yes, very good. We have the intrinsic and extrinsic factors. Again, we have the intrinsic and extrinsic factors. When we say intrinsic factors, these are the part of the product itself, like the moisture content, nutrient content, and structure of food items. And these are the intrinsic factors that contributes to the growth of microorganisms in food. And the extrinsic one are the factors in the environment external to the food, like the temperature, humidity, and oxygen. So we said, or we tackled from our previous lesson, that food is the most important of all the essentials. And now we also know that there are some foods that are perishable. So the question now is, do you have any idea on how to avoid food wastage? If your answer is no, then I think this will be the perfect lesson for you. So let's start our today's lesson for having our learning objective. So it says here that at the end of this lesson, all of you learners will be able to identify the different methods used in food preservation. So let's start with this question. Okay. Which of the following is considered as the oldest method of food preservation? Your choices are A. Canning, B. Drying, C. Freezing, or letter D. Pasteurization. And your answer is? Okay, if your answer is letter B, then your answer is correct. Yes, drying is the oldest method of food preservation. And food drying uses heat to remove moisture from the food. And take note, class, that there are 4 types of drying. We have the sun drying, the mechanical air drying, the vacuum drying, and the last one is the freeze drying. So when we say sun drying, that is the natural way of drying the food wherein the food is exposed under the sun. And examples are the daing, tuyo, and dried fruits. And for the second one, we have the mechanical drying. That is the artificial way of drying the food wherein there is a need of a device like blower to use just to dry foods. And the third one is the vacuum drying. Okay, food will be dried by means of air tightening. And then the last one is the freeze drying. Okay, freeze drying is also known as lyophilization. Yes, lyophilization is the other term used for freeze drying. And it is a low temperature dehydration process that involves freezing. Okay, freezing the product and then lowering its pressure, then removing the ice by means of sublimation. And example of this freeze drying, we have the instant coffee and powdered soup mix. And take note again that in this type of drying, the freeze drying, there is a need of sulfur dioxide. Why there is a need of sulfur dioxide in this drying? Because this sulfur dioxide will help to preserve the color and avoid the deterioration of food during drying. So here, next question. What method of food preservation keeps food fresh at temperature above 0 degrees Celsius? Your choices are A. Curing, B. Canning, C. Refrigeration, or letter D. Smoking. You have 5 seconds to think of your answer. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And your answer is? If you answer letter C, then your answer is correct. Yes, refrigeration keeps food fresh at temperature 0 degrees Celsius. And storage at or near that temperature stops the growth and activity of most microorganisms that cause food spoilage. However, the temperature in a refrigerator causes the microorganisms to sleep and become inactive. Yes, become inactive but not totally destroyed. Okay, next question. Okay, it is a term used to describe the process to slow down the decay of food. Choices are food preservation, food spoilage, and food additives. And the correct answer is, okay, letter A, food preservation. Food preservation is the term used in any method or technique used to prevent the food from spoilage or in slowing down the normal decay of food. And, okay, another question. It is the process that cooks, flavors, and preserves food, exposing it to the smoke from burning wood. Letter A, bottling, B, pickling, C, salting, or letter D, smoking. And the correct answer is, okay, the correct answer is letter D, smoking. Smoking is also a method of drying that also imports flavor to the food, usually the meat items. And smoke helps keep bacteria-carrying insects away during the drying process. And the last question is, okay, a process of heating milk below the boiling point to kill pathogenic bacteria. Again, a process of heating milk below the boiling point to kill pathogenic bacteria. A, bottling, B, drying, C, pasteurization, or letter D, refrigeration. And your answer is? Okay, if you answer letter C, pasteurization, that is correct. Because pasteurization, it is a heat treatment process that destroys pathogenic microorganisms in certain foods and beverages. And then the treatment destroys most of the microorganisms that cause spoilage and so prolongs the storage time of the food. So see, aside from answering those different questions, we also touch and discuss the different terminologies for the different methods used in preserving food. Again, we already discussed about the drying, smoking, pasteurization, and refrigeration. But not only that, we also have here the salting, pickling, and bottling. So what do we mean by salting? Okay. When we say salting, this is the method of preserving food that was more common before the modern refrigeration. And then, the food is surrounded with salt that results to drawing water out from the food that prevents the bacteria from growing and spoiling the food. So here are the examples of salting as you can see on the screen. And then the next one is pickling. Okay, pickling is either an aerobic fermentation in brine or immersion in vinegar. And then the resulting food is called pickles. So there you are again, the examples of pickled food. And then the last one is bottling. Do you have any idea about bottling? Okay, bottling is also known as colloquially processing. This is the process of preserving foods, in particular fruits and vegetables and even meats, by packing them into glass jars and then heating the jars to create a vacuum seal and kill the organisms that would create spoilage. So there you are, the bottling. So again, those are the different methods on how are we going to preserve food in order for us to avoid the food wastage. So let us now see if you really learned something from this discussion by having this activity. So all you have to do is to identify whether the highlighted food in each of the given scenarios is preserved by drying, freezing, pickling, bottling, smoking, or salting. So let's have this first one. Okay, meat products in grocery stores are placed in containers subjected to temperature ranging from 0 to negative 18 degrees Celsius. The answer is okay, freezing. Very good. How about the next one? Cucumbers can be preserved by immersing them in an acidic solution containing vinegar, sugar, and spices. And your answer is yes, pickling. How about the third one? Baked white beans are cooked through a steam process and preserved inside a glass container. The food is preserved inside a glass container. And the answer is yes, very good, bottling. Okay, let's now proceed with the second activity. Yes, you're going to identify again what method was used for this preserved food. But for this time, only sample pictures of the food will be flashed on your screen. For the first one, what method is being used for that? They used drying for that. For that, dyeing. Yes, very good. How about the next one? So how are you going to preserve milk? By means of? Okay, very good. You can preserve milk by means of pasteurization. And then the last one, salted egg. Oh, okay, you already have your clue there. Salted egg. They used salting. So there you are. It really seems that you really learned from this lesson. Again, here are the different ways on how are we going to preserve food in order for us to avoid food wastage. We have the drying, smoking, pasteurization, refrigeration, salting, pickling, and bottling. Okay, before I end this learning session, may I just leave you this quotation. According to James D. Wilson, knowledge plus action is power. Yes, your knowledge is based on your expertise. So meaning you need to convert your knowledge into action and it will be the source of your energy and potential. And that's power. Once again, this is Teacher Rokishley Casipit from Speaker Eugenio Perez National Agricultural School, saying, God bless everyone, enjoy learning, and keep safe. Goodbye!
Good day, Philippines! Hello, Region 1! Aloha, San Carlinian learners! Airing live from the mango bamboo capital of the Philippines, San Carlos City. You're tuning into CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner, where passion is the key. Learning paves the way. With our division mantra, developing creativity, maximizing versatility. This is your CCN Broadcast Center. CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner.